Welcome to the MLB Desk podcast. I'm your host, Alec Pecco. Today on the show, it's the podcast episode everybody's been waiting for. It is one trade every MLB team needs to make, as well as the most likely guys to get moved and the least likely. So let's get started here. We start with the AL East. And for some teams, I have a realistic trade and an unrealistic. So we start with the Rays. The realistic trade option for them would be going after somebody on the Astros pitching staff, because I don't think a guy like Jordan is in the realistic category for the Rays. But for the Rays, I have them going after Spencer Arrighetti of the Astros, because I think the Astros are going to offload. If they continue to struggle, I think the Astros are going to offload some veterans. Not saying that Spencer Arrighetti is a veteran, but the Rays could go after him, or they could go after somebody else on the Astros, like a Brian King or a Brian Abreu. That's who I have the Rays going out there. Realistically, unrealistic would be the Rays going out and getting Mike Trout. I don't see that happening for the Rays. I just don't. For the Yankees, their realistic trade, they need help in the rotation, and because Max Fried's out, Clark Schmidt's probably not coming back to the second half, and you're probably not going to want Clark Schmidt to start games and go to 5 or 6 innings. So the realistic trade option for the Yankees is Robbie Ray. And Yankee fans, I want to know what you think of that. Robbie Ray to the Yankees. The Giants are going to be offloading some big contracts. The unrealistic move here for the Yankees would be going out and getting Rafael Devers from the Red Sox. That is as unrealistic as it gets. Now for the Red Sox, their trade target I have them going after is Andre Palante from the Cardinals. The Red Sox need to get help in the rotation. Brian Bayo has been a massive disappointment. And I'm going to say this right now. I think if an offer becomes available for Brian Bayo to get traded out of Boston, I think the Red Sox take it. I think Bayo just needs a change of scenery. The unrealistic move for the Red Sox would be going on and getting Riley O'Brien from the Cardinals. And I don't see the Cardinals trading Riley O'Brien. We get to the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are another team that needs pitching. And I have them going out and making a move for Kyle Freeland of the Rockies. The Rockies are going to be dealing off some players at the deadline, and one of them could be Kyle Freeland, because the Rockies have a bunch of young pitchers that are coming up. One of them being Chase Dollander, who's going to be back at some point. The unrealistic move for the Blue Jays would be going out and getting Mike Trout. That's the second time you've heard me talk about Mike Trout. And then the Orioles are the last one, and I think all the Orioles need to do is they need to keep building that farm system. I don't think Baltimore's making the playoffs this year. I'm sorry to say that, Orioles fans. I don't think you're making the playoffs, so keep trading for prospects. But I'm going to give you an unrealistic trade idea here for the Orioles, and that would be going out and trading for Tarek Skubal, who could automatically change your season and make you into a contender. Now we get to part one of the most likely guys to get moved at the trade deadline, starting with Robbie Ray and the San Francisco Giants. And there's a couple Giants on here. Ray is the biggest one. He's going to be, I believe, a free agent after next year. And the unknown right now is, will there be a season in 2027 with the owners, with the CBA and the MLB being expired? Robbie Ray seems like a very good asset for a team that's competing for a playoff spot. Second guy is Alec Boehm of the Phillies. Phillies fans, I know what you're going to say. He's starting to heat up, but we know the Philadelphia sports media. They can't stand to see. They want Alec Boehm gone. It's just that. It's that simple. They want him gone. They do not want him. Hi, Kay. They want Alec Boehm gone. So I would not be surprised if he's traded. Next is Michael Lorenzen of the Rockies. Like I just said about Kyle Freeland, I think you're going to see at least one of Lorenzen or Freeland traded, or both, so the Rockies can net more prospects. Next is CJ Abrams of the Nationals. And I know Nationals fans, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. Yes, Nationals fans, I know that y'all are in third place right now in the NL East. I don't think that's going to stick. I think you're going to start to slip here soon enough. And the last guy in this portion is outfielder Mickey Moniak from the Rockies. The Rockies are going to deal whoever they can to try to get prospects, and Moniak's going to be one of the guys. Now, we get to the AL Central, and we start with the Guardians. And I have them trading for Sean Manaea from the Mets. And I know Mets fans are not going to like that, but I think Mr. Manaea would help. I'm not necessarily going to say Manaea is going to be a starter when he gets to Cleveland, but he can be that long reliever that eats innings, or the whatever they call him, the swing guy that if you have injuries in the rotation, you could put Manaea in the rotation. The unrealistic move for the Guardians would be going out and trading for CJ Abrams. Yes, I know the Guardians have the prospects to make the move for a guy like Abrams, but I don't see it happening. The Tigers are next, and their trade target is CJ Abrams. And yes, the Tigers do have a gluttony of prospects they could give up. Bryce Renier, Max Clark, Jose Briseño, Thyron Lorenzo. I know they probably don't want to give any of those guys up, but if you're going to go out and get a CJ Abrams, you have to. The unrealistic move for the Tigers would be trading for Mike Trout. We get to the Twins now. And the Twins are going to deal a bunch of players at the deadline, probably Buxton, Joe Ryan, maybe Josh Bell. So I just want to see them continue to build their farm system up. Now for the Royals, the most likely trade candidate, the guy that they could trade for them would be Michael Soroka from the Diamondbacks. And yes, I know Diamondbacks fans are not going to like hearing that, but let's face it. The Diamondbacks, yes, they're 4.5, I believe, out of first place. And they could get a significant package back for Mike Soroka if they decide to move him. Now, part two of the guys that are most likely to get moved. And the first one is Young-Hoo Lee from the Giants. Another big contract. And I just talked about how the Giants are going to want to, and it's Buster Posey. The Giants are going to want to dump a bunch of money, and Young Lee's making a lot of money. So I can see Young Hoo Lee being traded at the deadline to somebody that needs help in the outfield. Jose Soriano with the Angels is the next one. I think I think it's a done deal. I think they're going to trade Soriano somewhere. I don't know where, but I do think he gets moved at the deadline to a contender that needs. You can't have too many starting pitchers. You can't have enough. Next is, and I know this one's going to tick. Some people are going to have mixed opinions on this. Yordan Alvarez of the Astros. And Astros fans, please chime in the MLB fans in general. Chime in the comment section on this one. I think Yordan Alvarez is going to get moved at the deadline. If I had to guess, it's going to be somebody that's willing to take on that contract. It's not a bad contract, but I can see Yordan getting moved. And then the last one is the guy in the thumbnail. It is Joe Ryan of the Twins. We just talked about his second to last guy, correction. Joe Ryan is the thumbnail. And please also in the comments, let me know what you think about the way I'm doing the thumbnails now. But Joe Ryan, they almost moved him in the offseason. And I'm surprised they didn't. But we'll see if they move him at the deadline. They probably will. And then the last guy that's most likely to get traded is Trevor Story of the Red Sox. The Red Sox are probably going to sell off some pieces at the deadline if they fall out of it. And Story's going to be one of them. It's going to be Story, Chapman, Jared Duran, maybe Sonny Gray. Now we get to the AL West, and we start with the second place A's. And I've got them trading for Aroldis Chapman from the Red Sox. The A's don't really have a closer right now. I mean, Hogan Harris has gotten a bunch of saves. You've had Justin Sterner get a save or two. But it's been a whole gluttony of guys. Why don't you just go out and trade for Chapman? Your farm system is kind of deep. You can afford to give up 2 mid-tier prospects to get Chapman. For the Rangers, I think what you need to do is you just need to go out and trade for prospects. Because, yes, you're about to get Seager back. You're going to get Langford back. But I don't... I say prospects. You could buy and sell at the deadline if you're the Rangers. You could go out, you could trade a couple veterans for some prospects that are either MLB ready or close enough to being MLB ready. And then next we have the Mariners, and I think they need to trade for Brad Lord from the Nationals. The Mariners need some bullpen help. Senior Smoke, Andres Munoz, is your closer. He's one of the best closers in baseball. Don't touch that. But the back end of the bullpen, the 7th, 8th inning guy, it fluctuates every day, every game. I think you need to add a guy like Brad Lord. And if you need Brad Lord to make some starts, he's more than capable of doing that. The Astros, trade for prospects. And same thing with the Angels. Now we get to the NL East, and I have the Braves trading. The trade asset for the Braves that they need to go out and trade for is Byron Buxton. And I know a couple of Braves fans I've talked to. One of them is my best friend, Robbie. Shout out to Robbie Culleton. I was talking to him the other day. He's like, no, we don't need outfield. I digress. I think you could use an upgraded left field right now so you don't have to platoon every day. Slide Michael Harris to left for the rest of the year. Go out and trade for Byron Buxton. Put him in center field. Then you have a really good outfield. You have Harris in left, Buxton in center, Acuna in right. And you're going to win the World Series. The Phillies, they've had the Phillies started the season really bad. Now they're turning it around. I think the Phillies need to. Their outfield has been hit or miss so far this year. They need to go out and make a trade with the Rockies for Mickey Moniak and reunite Mickey Moniak and bring him back to Philly. The Marlins. Oh, the Nationals. If they can stay in contention, I think they need to call up the Orioles and see what the price is for a guy like Tyler Wells, who's pitching out of the bullpen right now. And I don't know if I didn't put Alcantara on here, but I don't think Alcantara's going to get moved. The way he's been pitching right now, he's tanking. His value in the offseason was up here. His value is slowly decreasing. His trade value, that is. But the Marlins need to go out and call up the Cubs and try to trade for third baseman / outfielder Matt Shaw. They've already done it once, and it was Edward Cabrera going to the Cubs, and they got Owen Casey. Can they call up the Cubs again and make another deal? And maybe you do Shaw and maybe Kevin Alcantara for Sandy and maybe a bullpen arm, because the Cubs do need a little help in the bullpen. And the Mets trade for prospects / young players. The Mets, they have some guys that could get moved, and I think I'm going to talk about one of them in a little bit. Here's the least likely guys to get traded. Part 1. First one is Rafael Devers of the Giants. I did say, did I talk about him twice? Hold up. No, that's already right. Okay, we're good. So I don't think Rafael Devers is going to get moved. And the sole reason why I don't think he's getting traded is because of the contract. Unless the Giants want to eat half of that contract, the money on the contract of Devers, then maybe he gets moved to somebody. Second guy is Paul Skeens of the Pirates. Nobody is going to move. Paul Skeens is not getting traded. All these delusional people on the internet trying to make Paul Skeens trade ideas. He's not getting moved right now. Now, if Bob Nutting does not want to if the Pirates don't want to give him an extension before the 2028 season, when he becomes a free agent, after that season, I believe, then we can talk about Paul Skeens trade ideas. But not right now. And the last one is Bailey Ober of the Twins. I think out of all the pitchers for the Twins, he's going to be the one that is the least likely to get moved. Now we get to the NL Central, and we start with the Milwaukee Brewers, and I have them trading for Yainer Cano from the Orioles. I did say the Orioles need to trade for prospects, and a package for Cano, it might take 2 mid-tier prospects to get Yainer Cano, and the Brewers can do that. Next is the Cardinals, and I think they need to call up the New York Yankees. The Yankees have too much pitching, and see what the price tag is for a guy like Luis Gil. If Luis Gil gets out of New York, we can see a completely different Luis Gil. And look at how the Cardinals starting pitchers are doing so far this year. Dustin May just came off 6 1/3 no-hit innings at his last start. Then we get to the Cubs, and I have them being the ones to trade for Tarek Skubal. The Cubs have these prospects. They have the money. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do it. You talk about a rotation of Skubal, Steele, Imanaga, Cabrera, and Boyd. Yeah, good luck with that in the playoffs, unless you're the Dodgers. The Reds, I think they need to go out and trade for Michael Wacha from the Royals. Royals are in last place in their division right now. And I think the Royals, unless they can get back into it, they might buy and sell at the deadline. And one of the guys they might sell off is Michael Wacha. And then the Pirates are last. It is trade for bullpen help. That is anybody looking to trade a bullpen piece at the deadline. The Pirates might be buyers in that market. Now we get to part two of the guys that are least likely to get traded, and I have two. I have from the Guardians, Stephen Kwan, and I thought Kwan was going to get moved at the deadline last year, and he didn't. So he might get moved this year at the deadline. If he does, it's for me. When I say least likely, I think it might still take a lot for the Guardians to budge and say, you know what, we will get rid of Kwan, and it will warrant from the Yankees, and that's easy. Then we get to the NL West to finish this up. The Dodgers, I have them trading for bullpen help because Edwin Diaz is admired in some off the field stuff right now, and they've had Tanner Scott closing games out, pitching in the ninth. Then we get to the Diamondbacks, and I have them trading up for Antonio Senzatella from the Rockies. The Padres, I have them going after a bullpen arm / starter. And that bullpen arm could very well be maybe a Senzatella from the Rockies. I mean, that's division tax, so you never know. That starter, there's rumblings they could be the team that gets Tarek Skubal. And then the Giants, I say trade for prospects because you're going to be dumping off some big contracts that you might be able to get 2 or 3 good prospects back. And same with the Rockies. They also need to trade for prospects. And I will show y'all the updated look at the website. And I'm working on some more stuff for said website. So that will be up on the website in a couple days. But if you want to see the stuff that's currently up there, MLB right now, we have power rankings, predictions, and the waiver wire, which the waiver wire is what you want to see. Waiver wire fantasy baseball. Then for college football, I'm working on, you see, we have the post-spring standings up. We have college football trips for Brad and I up, and my college football trips. And in NFL, we don't really have anything up there at the minute, but we will. And you can also find our podcast up there. This one, which we eventually need to change. That one. And the Saturday Night Lights. So, that is everything. And that will wrap up today's episode. Please remember to subscribe, like, turn on notifications, check out the website because there will be more stuff going up on there. I'm putting my post-spring college football top 25 rankings up there. I will be working on those after I get off this stream, but I will see everybody next week for another episode of MLB Desk Podcast.